Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today we're talking about overcoming imposter syndrome. So that feeling like you don't know enough to get respect, you don't maybe know enough or have enough experience to get real results for people. Like, you know a lot, but can you really get them results? And then what if you don't? And then they're going to be upset with you and bash you and want your money back. And what kind of criticism are you going to get online when you get on there and do posts and videos? And you're going to get feedback from other industry experts or, all these strangers on the internet messaging you and DMing you and publicly writing comments like, you don't know what you're talking about. Who do you think you are by doing this? You don't have this credential. You're not a doctor. You don't make enough money. You don't have enough followers to know what's up. The reason why I can be inside of your head with this is I felt all of these things and then some. I want you guys to hear really how I felt about this. And you can tell me if you relate. Maybe you didn't feel it nearly as much as I did. But the fact of the matter is that I'm not a very book smart person. I don't know if I have some kind of a learning disability at all. I might. I don't know. I've never been tested for it. But I'm just not book smart, meaning it didn't come natural to me. I had to study harder than any of my friends that I knew in order to get good grades. It was not an option to get like a B in my house. Like if I got a 1B plus, that still wasn't good. Like an A minus was the lowest I could get without having to pay a serious price for it. So it wasn't an option. Like I had to get good grades. I'm talking like had to do index cards all the time till 2 a.m. Being real with you, I even cheated several times, especially in French class. It's like, why in the hell did I pick French and not Spanish? I don't know. But especially in French class, it was really hard for me to remember. There's so many details to remember. And even though I did all the flashcards, it was like I had so much anxiety because I knew like I didn't just take to things so easily. I would write shit on my hands. It didn't make me feel good. I mean, I even got teased. I remember in elementary school, I don't remember what year I was in elementary school, probably 4th or 5th grade. And I remember being on the bus and a lot of the kids in my neighborhood, since I grew up in like, not that you're wealthy and then you're smart, but like they had tutors, they had, I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is. They had access, higher expectations, tutors, whatever, privileged people. And in my neighborhood. So that bus route, most of the kids in that bus route were in those like advanced classes. I wasn't in the remedial ones, but I was in like the middle, the regular ones, the middle of the pack. But I had to like work hard to be in that middle of the pack. I probably should have been in that. At that time, they called them like, I think, remedial classes. I'm sure they have a nicer name now for them. I probably would have done better and felt more seen and heard. But I was in the middle of the pack classes. These kids were all in advanced. And now to this day, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of these people. They're doctors, they're lawyers. These are very smart kids. And I don't know how it came up. I don't even know what happened. I just have that distinct memory and math was like, I was really bad at that. Part of why I joke all the time. Like, I don't do math in my head. I just count money. That's facts. Like, math is another detailed type thing to study. So math was not I wasn't good at. Things like English class I was good at, public speaking, history class, but things that required a lot of details like languages and numbers and science, it was a lot of work. So I remember this kid like, grilling people and going like, well, you know, let's see who's stupid or who's not, kind of a thing. And it's like, okay, so what's 0 divided by 1? And I think they went around to like different kids, like playing like who's stupid, who's not. And every kid that went before me got the answer right. And then they came to me and it was like, what's 0 divided by 1? And I guess that's a simple thing. Like, I'm literally pulling out my calculator right now and I give 0 fucks. Like, I'm not even embarrassed by it because most of you are like, you already know the answer. So 0 divided by 1 is 0. Okay. I think 0 divided by anything is 0, right? 0 divided by 7. Yeah. So I guess that's the thing, is 0 divided by anything, the answer is 0. I knew it was an easy, I should have known it easily. I did know that, but I wasn't sure if it was 1. The answer was 1 or 0. It was like, I know 0 divided by anything is always the same answer. But is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 0? Is it 1? I mean, that was going on in my head. And I was like, well, fuck, I have to pick one. I can't say nothing. And I said 1 when the answer was 0. And everyone erupted into laughter. And obviously it impacted me because I still think about it to this day. And as soon as I got in the house, I remember like taking a calculator and like, you know, doing all sorts of things, going, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Like, when I really had time to sit and process it, obviously 0 divided by anything would be 0. And so I had this inside of me my entire life, like, where I'm really not that smart. So I became really good at speaking and really, really good at communicating with people and really observant. And I had to start working at a young age, which that's a whole nother story. But I was, working at age 8. So I had a really good people skills and I had really good vocabulary from being surrounded by adults all the time. And that really impressed people. I had really good manners. I knew how to behave out to fancy dinners and stuff like that. And adults would always compliment and say, oh my God, I can't believe Tiffany's only this age. Her conversations are so intelligent. So I knew people would think I was smart once they talked to me, right? But if they only knew how dumb I really was, I would be screwed. So I knew I had to make sure they could never find out how dumb I was, because then they would see it's all a fraud, it's all an act, it's all a show. I felt like this all my life. I felt like this as a newscaster on TV. I was like, thank God I was the one asking the questions and I was the one reading the scripts and not the one answering. Believe me, I'm sure there was a subconscious purpose with that. Probably also why I still today love asking questions versus always answering them. I felt this in my pharmaceutical career and in my corporate career. Here, my main clients are these, doctors. And granted, I was very well trained and I wasn't expected to know like high science like a doctor, but believe me, I was expected to understand their words and know terms, and I had to really study hard for those. Anything less than a 90% in all your trainings, when you work for a high-level pharmaceutical company, you can have one. Anything under 90% is fail. And if you fail anything more than one time, you're immediately fired in training. So it was high pressure. Once again, I was in an environment in a training class of like 40 some people where everyone was going out at night and partying. There's expense accounts, blah, 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 having fun. I was in my room with flashcards. I was the only one. So, and then I had to make it sound like, oh, it's not because I'm stupid. It's because I care so much. I even pretended I had like a stomach ache one time because I was embarrassed. Again, if people only knew, God, I can't even believe they hired me if they only knew how dumb I was. So I've carried that my entire freaking life. As I climbed that corporate chain, then even as I started my other business that I've had 12 years where I'm doing high-level digital business consulting for companies, corporations, doctors, medical companies, supplement companies, that kind of thing. I still had that nervousness because if they only knew I wasn't some number cruncher as a business consultant, aren't you supposed to be some amazing math whiz number cruncher? And if they only knew, I would lose the account. So I better really razzle dazzle them. I better build such a strong rapport and relationship and serve them at such a great level, like over deliver at such a great level that they won't even care if they find out about me. So I had that fraud feeling inside. It created a lot of anxiety. It made me into a people pleaser. I would over deliver. I would undercharge for my services. It absolutely was tied to my self-worth, which, as you know, I always say, right? And then it impacted my net worth because low self-worth equals low net worth. The opposite is also true. High self-worth is high net worth. I took clients that I didn't want to take because the low self-worth part of me was like, well, I better just take them because who knows when these other great clients might fire me when they find out I'm not some like numbers whiz, right? Even though I was getting them great results, great service, they liked me, there was still that feeling. So when I went to go start ProjectME with Tiffany Carter as a personal brand where I'm the face of the brand, that was very different for me. My other company isn't like that. I'm like, even though I'm the president, it's behind the scenes. It's very different. And where I was going to be, my face front facing, teaching you guys courses, classes, coaching, all that stuff. I still had, even though I had all these years of proof, about 10 years of proof at this point, having millions in the bank, right? Knowing I knew my stuff. I really did. But there was still that inkling in there when I would see other people on Instagram or other people on Facebook who had been in this personal brand coaching space for a long time. And they would show all these different testimonials and they sounded so smart when they spoke. And then a lot of them would show these like complex funnels that, you need to do in order to make all this money. And my head would spin like, oh my God, this is so much information. This sounds so hard to me. Maybe I'm not smart enough to do this. Not that I thought I couldn't benefit you guys. It was more like smart enough to really blow this thing out of the water like these other people. And then I also had a whole thing around the looks path with imposter syndrome, which I'm sure a lot of you listening, have that too, where it's like looks or even like, how someone comes across on video. Because I know a lot of people say to me like, you being, in the zero fuck zone and you being so confident, you dance, you don't care if you make a fool out of yourself. Like, I am so shy. I'm nowhere near that part. And I'm sure sometimes you guys tell yourselves in order to be successful or your brand to be successful online or to take it to the next level, that you need to be that that way. So I'm sure there's people, right? Well, I know there's people who compare themselves against me. And I've done the same thing where it's like, wow, this person's really polarizing. Wow, she is so pretty. Like, she has everything. She has a successful business. She has this incredible, effortless relationship. Hashtag relationship goals. She has this long, luscious hair and ab lines and just looks amazing in everything that she wears. And she always looks cute. And oh my God, that's not how I look. I look like a freaking hot mess a lot of the time. So am I really going to be able to be massively successful at this? Because I didn't start this business as a jobby. Okay. I started it. It's a business. It's not a fucking nonprofit. I started it to make major cash and major impact, and anything less was not going to satisfy me. So when I was looking at other people generating the kind of cash I knew that I wanted to, I started to compare myself. And how did I get out of my own head? So how I got out of my own head is I, number one, muted those accounts, or if I needed to, unfollow them. Some of these people are my friends. I mean, they weren't my friends at the time, but now they are. So I would mute them. They don't know that. And they know, a lot of them, I'll tell them, like, I had to mute your ass. Like, I joke about it now, but I wouldn't have told them then. I'd be way too embarrassed about it. Or unfollow accounts that don't make you feel good. Also, I had to shift my perspective. And what can I learn from this person? When I started down that comparisonitis, land, which is so negative, as we know, and it feels like shit, it's draining. Instead, I catch myself and go, okay, what can I learn from this person? I would force myself to compliment something about the person instead of being in judgment. And then I'd say, what can I learn from them? And I had to consistently remember, I'm going to be massively successful and make massive impact for me being me as who I am. Because being perfect or being so polished, that shit's not relatable. You're meant to coach, help, and serve people at all different levels. I'll give a really kind of less obvious example, because the obvious examples, I think a lot of you guys know. So I think it's helpful to give less obvious ones. My business manager, my CPA. And if you guys don't know what a CPA is, and I'm not being patronizing, I didn't used to know what the fuck that was either. Hence why my first couple years of business, I owed a shit ton in taxes and had to put my taxes on my credit card. Thank you. So a CPA, I guess an easy way to say it is that is a higher level accredited accountant. They're just they have additional certifications. They're at a higher level. For sure, I knew I wanted, once I knew what one was, a CPA when you have a certain size business. Okay. Not, you can have an accountant can do business taxes too, but I wanted a CPA. So I would have never thought in even my first 5 years of business, I'd say maybe first 4 years of business. Number one, I didn't know what a CPA was. Number two, I didn't feel like once I even learned what one was, that I would even qualify. I made an assumption. I didn't ask. I didn't call. I didn't check. I didn't verify. But I made an assumption like, well, I'm not ready for like a CPA, like someone at that level yet to help me run my business. I need to stick with like small potatoes, like a solo accountant who I know isn't like amazing, but my business isn't big enough yet. I couldn't relate to a higher level service provider, even though they're kind of providing the same service. So my point in sharing that example is a lot of you can't relate to someone who has the blue check mark on Instagram, who's always, perfectly put together and gets like 20,000 likes per post. Even though you might value the information they share and you like them, you might not feel comfortable DMing them or getting help from them because it seems just so many steps ahead of where you're at. So you have to remind yourself the people you're meant to serve are the people that are going to feel most comfortable working with you right now in their lives. They're going to be able to have that like, no trust factor, and you're going to be someone they can really hear. It would have been really hard for me to have heard and learned from someone like where I'm at today when I first started. That's just my personality. I mean, I privately coach two types of people, right? You're either starting at zero to under $10,000 a month, or you're an established entrepreneur making consistently, $10,000 and multiple seven figures a month. So those are the two, different types of people I work with. I had such low self-worth that I would have never hired a Tiffany in my first, obviously my first 5 years of business. It took me 5 years to hire a business coach. Even if we fast forwarded to today's day and age, I probably wouldn't have done it for like 3 years because I wouldn't have felt I knew enough. I would have been embarrassed that someone like me would have found out how like dumb I really was. And that the only reason I was, making like legit cash in my business is because I'm a hustler. I'm, resourceful. I'm tenacious. It had nothing to do with me being smart or that it was luck. Right. So you have to remember that the people you're meant to serve are going to come to you. Obviously, you still have to have marketing strategy, but they're going to come to you because they feel comfortable with you where you're currently at in your life and business, your health, your fitness, whatever, specialty you're in. And they're going to feel comfortable because of your style, your personality, your style, you being you. So the worst mistake I made when I first started ProjectME with Tiffany Carter isn't that I hired a professional videographer to do all these videos and stuff like that right off the bat and spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars as I giantly roll my eyes here. It's because I thought I had to be like broadcaster Tiffany to be smart and respected and credible and for you guys to take me seriously. So I hired, a glam team and I got outfit sent to me and I made sure my posture was straight. I mean, you can go watch them all. They're all on YouTube and the information is highly valuable on my YouTube channel, but it wasn't me being me. It was me being who I thought I had to be based on doing the whole comparisonitis thing online and me having this imposter syndrome. And I was exhausted after shooting those videos because it's really hard being, a version of yourself that you're really not. Like, yes, is that still really Tiffany? Yes, it's really still me. Like that's how I would be, if I'm being interviewed, professionally. That is how I am when I go speak at corporate events and, more structured corporate events and more conservative settings. But that's not the me to you guys. And guess what? Not one of those damn videos has translated into a single dollar of income because I wasn't just being me. I actually came across probably intimidating to my ideal client, maybe not relatable, maybe not someone they'd want to hang out with. I don't know exactly, but it didn't translate. And I had to spend that money and experience that to see that happen. And then about a year into my business, when I really started finally getting into the zero fuck zone, when I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not going to go and put on makeup to get on Instagram stories. And you know what? I'm going to just be me. And I started this company, right, to help you guys grow your self-worth and net worth and to accept yourself and love yourself. Like if I have to be this extra polished version of me all the time, this isn't fun. And I don't need to start another business for me to have a luxury lifestyle. I already have that. So if this isn't fun and this isn't interesting and this isn't helping people, then there's no point in me doing it. Really. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to experiment and I'm going to totally be me and I'm going to do it for 30 days and see what happens. And if everyone hates it, people unfollow me, I get made fun of, I'll suck it up. I'll deal with it for 30 days just to see what happens. And I'm really encouraging you guys to do this. If 30 days sounds like too much, do it for a week. I would rather you do it for at least 2 weeks, but I also know everyone's at a different, stage with this. And you want to know what happened? My business blew the fuck up. I got more direct messages. I got more comments, more followers, more applications, more clients, more of everything. I mean, significantly more. It was like I was finally being seen because people could finally hear me because I was actually relatable. And then I stood out. I was actually different because I am different because I'm me and I'm a nutbag, as you guys know. And my style is, to be direct and cut out the bullshit and show and just show up with no makeup and wear a robe and show the real life behind the scenes, that it's not all like rainbows, Bali, and butterflies, and give you the truth and tell you the step-by-step way and not gloss over stuff. That's why you guys listen to me. And then, my crazy analogies, and that I talk about poop and, I make fun of myself and whatever. That's why my close friends adore me. It's for the qualities that make me me. And those are the very things I was hiding. And those are the very things you're hiding. That's why your significant other, your friends, your family, the people who already like and adore and cherish you in your life, those very reasons you're hiding when you're going online. And those are the very things you need to showcase. The very things you need to do. But I understand it's uncomfortable. It's vulnerable, because then if someone makes fun of you, teases you, unfollows you, bashes you, whatever, for you being 100% you, well, hell yeah, it feels a lot more personal, because we don't have any sort of armor or protection in front of us. We have an excuse we can say. But you know what? I've gotten DMs. I've been actually bullied by a group of girls. I've had all that happen, but the percentage of those people to the percentage of you where we connect, I've become good friends with many of you. A lot of you are my clients. A lot of all the beautiful messages I get every single day in my DMs, which is why I spend 2 hours every single day in my DMs 7 days a week to connect with you guys. And I love hearing the messages of how I've helped you and things you've overcome. That far outweighs the 2% of haters out there. Am I going to let that 2% of haters ruin the 98% of good that I'm doing in the world? Fuck no. So what you're doing is you're allowing that 2% of haters, perceived haters, that you're, of what's going to happen when you show up as yourself. You're allowing them to prevent you from helping the people you're meant to help and serving the people you're meant to serve. And that's fucked up. That's a much more serious issue than imposter syndrome. So I want you to know, even someone like me who can be outlandish, who talks about God, who swears, where I go off on crazy tangents, where I don't always look my best, I'm telling you, it's still 2% of so-called hating negative stuff. And the rest is all incredible. So that's the math equation you can expect probably for yourself. And don't you think those people that you really want to help and serve and that you're meant to help and serve are worth it? I do. And I know you do deep inside, and you need to get out of yourself and out of your ego and back into service. So I really hope this episode, helped you, get a peek behind my mental curtain, because if I can do it, I know you can, because I really had no one propping me up in my life for most of my life. In fact, it was mostly being torn down. So if I did it, I know you guys can do it. I want to let you know also, I've opened up a couple summer spots for my 2-month private business coaching program. So you want me to show you step by step how to build or scale your current business and how to get you to that zero fuck zone in a way that really connects with your ideal client so you can convert strangers into paying clients on repeat and serve the people you're meant to serve, then go apply. These spots are going to go fast. I only take a handful of private coaching clients at a time due to the nature of my coaching, because we go in, we go for it, and we bring in that cash. So here's where you go. It's projectmewithtiffany.com/work with me. I think the easiest way for me to tell you is just go to my damn website, projectmewithtiffany.com, and then you click on work with me. If you're driving, multitasking, pooping, God knows what you guys are doing, but I know you're multitasking. I want you to DM me at projectmewithtiffany on Instagram. And if you're like, oh, I want your coaching application, I can just drop you the link to it right there. But don't overthink this. If you know it's something you want to do, I wouldn't wait on it, because then it will be gone and then you're going to be pissed at yourself. All right. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.